Well, hello, and welcome back to Fluent and Fearless. This is the podcast for everyone who speaks English, especially those who speak English as a second language. If you want to communicate with confidence, clarity, and authenticity, you are in the right place. I'm Katherine Arthur, a pronouns speech and accent specialist. I'm an American English speech and pronunciation instructor, a speech language pathologist, and a radio broadcaster, and I'm so glad that you are with me today. Now, in our last episode, we talked about word stress. That's the idea that one syllable in a word gets the spotlight. Well, today we're going to zoom out on that concept. We're going from the word level to the sentence level. So if you've ever thought that American English speakers talk too fast, or that Americans seem to skip words when they speak, and you wonder why you can understand English in a textbook, but not in real conversations, then this episode is for you, because the answer often comes down to sentence stress. Sentence stress. That's one of the biggest reasons spoken English sounds so different from written English. And once you understand sentence stress, you'll begin to hear American English very differently. In fact, sentence stress may be the reason native speakers sound so smooth and natural, while English learners often sound overly careful, overly formal, or robotic, even when their grammar and their pronunciation is excellent. So today, we're going to talk about what sentence stress is, why it matters, and how you can start using it immediately. And of course, we're going to practice together. So let's dive in. I'm Katherine Arthur, and this is Fluent and Fearless. So you're probably wondering, what is sentence stress? Well, sentence stress is the pattern of emphasizing some words more than others. In American English, not every word in a sentence gets equal attention. In fact, many words receive very little attention. Let's compare. Imagine a robot says, "I would like to go to the store." Every word sounds equally important, doesn't it? Now imagine a native speaker of American English. They will say, "I'd like to go to the store." Do you hear the difference? The stressed words stand out. The unstressed words become shorter and softer. This creates the rhythm of American English. We naturally emphasize the important words. Listen, I need a cup of coffee. Did you notice what happens? The words need, cup, and coffee get the emphasis. The smaller words become weaker. That's sentence stress, something that's very important in American English. Sentence stress is a rhythm pattern that helps listeners identify the most important information in a sentence. When you use sentence stress correctly, you're telling your listener that these are the important words and you should pay attention to them. With that being said, how do we know which words get the stress, which words that we need to emphasize, and which words don't get the stress, the words that get reduced? Well, here's the general rule. English words generally fall into two categories: content words and function words. Content words get the stress. Function words, they get reduced. So what are content words? Well, content words carry the meaning. Some examples are nouns, main verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Words like coffee and meeting, important, finish, project, tomorrow. Those are the words that get the stress. Now, function words, those are the helpers. They're the words in grammar that help connect the other words in a sentence. Examples are articles, pronouns, prepositions, and auxiliary verbs. Function words help connect the sentence. Some examples: an, a, and, of, at, and auxiliary or helper verbs like can and have. Usually these words are not stressed in a sentence. So let me put it all together for you. Listen to this sentence. I have scheduled a meeting at 10. Now, did you notice that scheduled meeting, and 10 all stand out. They are the content words. They carry the meaning and they get the stress. They get the emphasis. The other words shrink. I, which is a pronoun, the words have, a, and at, those are all reduced, or they're weakened. They get much less attention in a sentence. So let's look at another sentence. I bought a new laptop yesterday. Which words carry the meaning? Well, those words would be bought, new, laptop, and yesterday. Those words get the stress. The words I and a are much less important. So say it with me, and remember that the nouns in the sentence also get stress on the first syllable. I bought a new laptop yesterday. Now, when you said that, did you notice how the stressed words and the syllables are louder, longer, and a little higher in pitch than the words and syllables that aren't stressed? Well, that's the rhythm of American English. And for those who speak English as a second language, learning how to capture that rhythm is the secret to more clear, more natural sounding English. So now let's practice listening to some more rhythm. Repeat these after me, but don't stress every single word. Only stress the important ones, the content words, the ones that carry the meaning. Here we go. The meeting starts at 9. My flight leaves tomorrow. We need more time. She's working from home. Did you notice? The important words carry the rhythm. It's almost like a drum beat. That means the stressed words kind of occur at regular intervals, and that's why English is often described as a stress-timed language. The unstressed words squeeze themselves in between the stressed words. It's a flowing pattern, a musical rhythm. Strong words, then weak words, strong words, and weak words. The musical rhythm, that's one reason why American English sounds so different from many other languages. Now let's answer one of the biggest mysteries for English learners, and that is, why do Americans speak so fast? Well, here's the answer. Most native speakers of American English are not speaking as fast as you think that they are. They're just reducing those unstressed words, those function words that we talked about earlier, the words that connect, that don't carry so much meaning. And this is pretty common in casual conversation. Let me give you an example. Listen carefully. Take the sentence, "What are you doing?" In casual conversation, it often becomes, "What are you doing?" Do you see how all of that runs together? How those function words that we've talked about shrink? They become so reduced. So why do native speakers of American English do this? Well, they're following the rhythm rules of English. They're emphasizing the important words, the content words, that is, and they're reducing the function words, the words that connect. And also, they're making sounds connect with each other. That's connection. That's another concept, another topic, and it's actually a topic that we're going to talk about in our next episode. But for now, let's talk more about sentence stress. And let's talk about something really interesting when it comes to sentence stress. Did you know you can completely change the meaning of a sentence simply by changing which word in the sentence receives the stress? For example, listen to this sentence. I didn't say she stole the money. Let's put stress on different words in the sentence, and that will change the meaning of the sentence. Listen to this change. I didn't say she stole the money. I stress the word I. And what does that mean? That means that I didn't say it, someone else did. Try this one. I didn't say she stole the money. Putting the stress on the word didn't means that I, personally, never said that. Try this change. I didn't say she stole the money. What does that mean? Well, putting the stress on the word say means that maybe I implied it or hinted around about it, but I didn't come out and say it. Try the focus on another word in the sentence. I didn't say she stole the money. What does it mean when I put the emphasis on she? Well, that means that someone else took the money. We'll try another change. I didn't say she stole the money. Well, if I put the emphasis on the word stole, that means that maybe she borrowed it. And then finally, try this one. I didn't say she stole the money. Now, what does it mean if I put the emphasis on the word money? Well, it means that maybe she didn't steal the money. Maybe she stole something else. 6 different meanings. And that's all because of where we put the stress in that sentence. That's kind of amazing, isn't it? And you can see that where you put the stress can completely change the meaning of a sentence. That's the power of sentence stress. Now, here's an example from your typical workplace. Imagine that you have a manager, and that manager says, "Did you finish the report?" You could answer, "I finished the report." That emphasizes what you completed. Or you could say, "I finished the report." That emphasizes that the task is complete. Or you might say, "I finished the report yesterday." That emphasizes when it happened. The stress changes the focus in the sentence. Now, native speakers of American English do this constantly without even thinking about it. We will emphasize a word in a sentence that we want our listeners to focus on, and that changes the meaning. Now, here's a fun exercise. I call it the robot test. First, I'm going to say the sentence like a robot. Repeat it after me. I am going to the store after work. Now, say it naturally. I'm going to the store after work. Huge difference, right? The words didn't change. It was the rhythm that changed. Now, many English learners accidentally sound robotic when speaking English because they give equal importance to every word. That's how their native language does it, and that's not a bad thing at all. It's just a difference. It's the difference between English and many other languages. And that's why many English learners pronounce every word clearly and carefully and with equal stress. That sounds logical, doesn't it? They want to be understood. And many learners work so hard to be clear that they pronounce every word perfectly. And that can make their speech sound even less natural. It can actually make their speech harder to understand when they speak American English. For example, I would like to schedule a meeting with you. Now, the pronunciation may be perfect, but the rhythm of the speech doesn't follow the correct pattern. Native speakers of American English are more likely to say, I'd like to schedule a meeting with you. The rhythm becomes smoother. The listener can process the message more easily. Remember, natural English is not about pronouncing everything strongly. It's not about pronouncing every sound, every word with equal emphasis. It's about knowing what deserves attention, what to stress, and what to reduce. Natural English includes contrast. Some words stand out, others will fade into the background. Now think of an orchestra. Not every instrument gets to play the melody. The melody stands out because other instruments support it. And sentence stress works the same way. So let's practice some sentence stress together. Repeat after me. I need some help. We have a deadline. The client called yesterday. I sent the document. We need to talk. She's starting a new position. Great, you did great. Now, when you do these exercises, be sure to focus on the important words and let the smaller words relax. Notice how your voice naturally lands on the important words. That's sentence stress. Now, I understand that the concept of sentence stress can sound overwhelming to an English learner. It does seem like a lot to learn. It seems like a lot to remember when you're also concentrating on grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. But here's one of the best ways to improve sentence stress. It's called shadowing. And this is what a lot of my clients do. Just choose a short clip from YouTube, TV show, movie, a podcast, like Fluent and Fearless. It's a clip of a native speaker of American English, someone who speaks well, who speaks clearly. A newscaster on national news, for example, that's a very good choice. So just listen to one sentence at a time, and then pause, and then repeat it immediately. But don't focus on the grammar, and don't focus on the vocabulary. Don't even focus on individual sounds. Focus only on the speech rhythm. Use a captioning if necessary so you can understand all of the words. And then ask yourself, which words got the stress? Which words became weak? Repeat exactly what you hear. Try to copy the melody, the rhythm of that speech. Think like a musician or pretend you're an actor learning a script. Focus on the rhythm, the stress, and the melody. Now, the goal at this point is not perfection. The goal is imitation. So give shadowing a try. I think you're really going to like it. And that leads us into your weekly challenge. So here is your challenge. For the next 7 days, I want you to listen to native speakers of American English. It can be a television program, could be a coworker, or this podcast, Fluent and Fearless. But listen to native speakers, listen closely for 5 minutes a day. That's it, 5 minutes of close listening. Again, don't focus on the vocabulary, don't focus on the grammar. Just ask yourself, which words are getting the spotlight? Just listen for that stress. Find out which words are getting the emphasis, which words are becoming softer, and how does that speaker create the rhythm. You'll be amazed at how quickly your ears will begin to notice the patterns. And then write down 3 sentences every day. Mark the words that get the stress. And then practice saying these sentences to yourself. And immediately, you're going to start noticing the patterns. And once you notice these patterns, you'll start using them. You're going to be training your ears to hear the patterns, and you're training your brain to recognize the patterns, and you're training your mouth to use the patterns. So let's put this all together. Think about what we've learned in this episode and in the last episode too. First of all, words have stressed syllables. Now we've learned that sentences have stressed words. Both create rhythm. Both help listeners understand you more easily when you speak English. And both contribute far more to sounding natural than most learners will realize. So if pronunciation is the bricks of a house, rhythm, that's the architecture. Without rhythm, everything feels a little bit off, even when the individual pieces are correct. So if word stress is the foundation of natural pronunciation, sentence stress is the music that brings speech to life. It's what makes English sound smooth. It's what helps listeners understand you more easily. And it's one of the fastest ways to sound more natural without changing your accent. Remember, you do not need to stress every single word. You only need to stress the important ones. And with that, I'm Katherine Arthur, and thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Fluent and Fearless. Now, if you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend, a coworker, or a fellow English learner who wants to sound natural and confident when speaking English. Next episode, we'll discuss another big secret to sounding natural when speaking American English, and that's connected speech. When you learn the secret of connected speech, when you put it together with word and sentence stress, you've learned the key to really sounding more American. So be sure to join me for the next episode of Fluent and Fearless. Well, actually, when I think about it, I want you to join me for every episode of Fluent and Fearless. And here's something else I'd like you to know. If you're ready to take your communication skills to the next level, I'd love to help you. If you speak English as a second language and you're concerned about your pronunciation of American English, I'm here to help you. I want you to be fluent and fearless, and I know you can do it. Remember, working on your speech and pronunciation doesn't mean that your accent is a problem. It means that you value communication. It means that you're investing in yourself. And what really counts is connecting with other people, building relationships, and showing the world who you are as a unique individual. So whether you're looking to succeed in your career, or you want to just feel more confident in everyday conversation, or maybe both, accent modification, that can give you the advantage that you're looking for. Are you ready to explore accent modification? Well, here I am, and I have a free offer for you. Just visit my website at pronouncespeech.com. pronouncespeech.com. Find out how to book a free assessment with me, Katherine Arthur. No cost, no obligation. It's a low-key and conversational way to learn how you can benefit from accent modification. Again, our website, pronouncespeech.com. pronouncespeech.com. So again, I am Katherine Arthur, and thank you so much for joining me on this edition of Fluent and Fearless. Be sure to look me up on LinkedIn, and you can find Pronouns Speech and Accent Specialists on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So until next time, keep speaking, keep showing up, and keep reminding yourself that your voice deserves to be heard. This is Katherine Arthur. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time on Fluent and Fearless.